And we were just talking about how like your child has grown and we're still the same. Yeah, so let's start more conversations that matter, and I want to hear where you're at.
So, gosh, since then, so much has changed.
But I love it when the universe gives you what you need because
Yeah, it did feel like
the push you
it
need.
aligned.
Yeah.
Yeah, it didn't feel wrong. Life happens. You have bills, you have a house, you have a car, you have all these debit orders.
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's Sadhana. Today, I'm with my homegirl, Germaine. It's been a hot minute. Germaine is a multifaceted woman. She is a mom, wifey, daughter, friend, or your sister.
I am.
Sister, marathon runner, and business owner. Yeah. Yeah, I made a list because you can't even make that up. So we haven't spoken in a long time. We met when I did my first job, well, one of my first jobs in the digital industry with your husband, Rory. So grateful for that experience because I feel like, I don't know, if you don't have a good foundation to like your work world, you might as well stop believing in yourself. So that was in, I think, 2018.
Around there. Yeah.
What year was Corey born in?
16.
Yeah, because when I met you, you were
Pregnant.
pregnant. And now he is turning.
Actually, before that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was before that. Oh my gosh.
We had an interaction. I was helping you with some decor and styling things. I think you were pregnant time. And since then, I had started my business. I had been retrenched from my office job, from my 9 to 5. So a lot has changed.
I didn't know you were retrenched.
I was.
I thought that you were tired of that life.
I was. That just also happened, coincide or parallel that happening. I was also retrenched at the same time. So when I started Spaces a year into it, that news came about.
But I love it when the universe gives you what you need because
Yeah, it did feel like
the push you
it
need.
aligned.
Yeah.
Yeah, it didn't feel wrong.
You got retrenched after Corey.
Yes. So
That's so scary though.
I had started Spaces out of a need to start something for myself as a side hustle.
Mm-hmm.
That had been happening for probably 6 months to a year.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had heard from work that we were restructuring, and the plan was always to see where it went. I wanted to stay to the very end because I was hoping for a package from work. That's how that happened. Yeah, so it was either then I go back into like corporate after that because it gave me like a bit of like runway for me
to figure it out.
Yeah. Or then go 100% into my business, which is what I did. It was hard, but yeah.
Okay, tell us a little bit about Spaces because I'm aware of it, but I also love what I love about your brand is how it's seasonal.
Yeah.
It's
nothing's
nothing's forever, right? Once you create a product and then you run with it and then you move on to what's next.
So Spaces, I had always been into interiors for like forever. I knew that I think from like my very first job, this was not the life that I wanted. It was a means to an end. So it was always like in the background gnawing at me. So when I originally started Spaces, this was back in like 2008. And it was when blogs were cool and everyone was blogging. And that's how I got the domain. And I started sort of, I think that was very exploratory. I started exploring with everything surrounding interior design. So whether it was styling, decor, trends, etc., it sort of gave me license to run amok in that area. separate to my 9 to 5.
And you didn't know what it was gonna be though.
No, I didn't like. I mean, I really I think by then, um, life happens. You have bills, you have a house, you have a car, you have all these debit orders. So it's very hard for you to then jump industries or pivot without starting from scratch. And I think as a brown person with brown parents, you follow the formula of matric, get a degree, get a job, climb the ladder, have a yeah. So I followed
Absolutely.
that whole. I feel like I followed that formula,
Me too.
but I feel like that formula doesn't leave any room for any exploring. Like you can't. There's no room, time to explore the things that you really want to do. So I feel like when I got that domain, it helped me to try things.
Explore.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it was sort of like a sort of permission for me to do that.
Like
And
do the brave thing.
yeah, I started messing around with styling, with furniture design. That didn't work. I think I'd even gone to a point of contacting interior designers to shadow them.
If I remember though, I wouldn't say it didn't work. You made some nice pieces though.
I did, but it was
Maybe the process wasn't what it needed to be because that's
yeah,
a big like job like production wise.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. So it was. But listen, I mean, I was very frustrated then, but now I think looking back now, it was a way for me to try stuff and rule it out and move on to the next thing and try the next thing and sort of refine that whatever it is that I wanted to do because I had no idea in terms of if I was looking for another job or if it would be a business. I feel like that industry was also very closely guarded. There was lots of barrier to entry. It wasn't like now where I can start I don't know, a TikTok or an Instagram account and just be the expert and decide talking about the things that I want to talk about.
We're both millennials, right?
Yeah.
So I always think that's super interesting because we do come from that era where you're supposed to know what you're doing
Before telling everyone
before telling everyone
can
and also be like qualified to a certain like what's your experience in it, and also failure is not an option in
yeah,
like the world we come from, but we're also in the unique space of coming from the world before social media and where we're at now. I think people like take that like it's underrated of the power that comes with that because not only are we learning like on the job about social media and how to use these platforms and tools to like empower us in what we want to do, but it's also just the back skill. And I think I saw a TikTok of yours speaking about the mundane skills that you had gotten from corporate that empowered this journey as well.
But I have also like to your point about living before social media means that all the exploring I was doing was tactile, meaning I had to pick up the phone, you have to Google, you have to speak to people in the real world and go through the process and not go through the process digitally because I feel like now when people explore, maybe this is me generalizing, but I feel like now when people explore things, they explore it online. So I feel like that physicality of okay, I've tried this is not working, I'm trying the next thing. But because it was tactile, it like solidified the experience like okay, cool, I'm gonna try this, but then I realized actually this is not what I want to do. And you refine that like search.
That's why you're like one of my favorite people. Well, people like you just do it, try it. And I say it's like collecting failures. Like nobody cares whether you now tried to make tables and it didn't work out. You tried to do something else, it didn't work out. But at some point, it's better than not doing anything and sitting like in fear and putting up with the job that society told us to have, which is not a bad thing. Like, but I think a lot of creative souls who have that like surely there's more to than like this job, but sometimes it's like I find myself in a crossroads from wanting to be that mundane person who's like home cooking and making like activities and just living my life for me, but then there's also the chase and the hustle that we need to like these things are expensive.
Yeah, this is true. I mean, some days I just want a boring day. I really just want boring weekend. I don't want any plans. I just want normal life. And then other days I want to be creatively challenged and do the next thing and be inspired. So, yeah.
For me, I think I always want to be at the top of my game at no matter what I do. So that might be like if I'm gonna be a mom, I want to be doing my best damn job at being a mom.
Yeah.
And if I'm gonna be a designer, I want to make sure that I am the industry leader of design.
Yeah.
But like with these conversations that we're having, the point I think that I want, like why I want to do this is because it's the people who are doing and chatting about it that share the knowledge it's going to make us like reach a bit further.
Yeah.
And something we were talking about that we struggled with, and I asked you about it just because I'm so amazed at how much you do.
Yeah.
And if you see her social platforms,
I need
you
to stop
no
posting there, I swear.
no, but she's just like, you look at her from the outside, like if someone didn't know you, like, oh, she runs, she's like a wifey, she's doing the business things, she's such a good mom, and she's fit, and like everything you take, everything you do so seriously. And
Yeah.
like, I feel if I look at you, I would never say that you also struggle with the imposter
All
syndrome.
the time, right now.
Moments leading up to this recording.
Yeah.
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 So, how does it show up?
So for me, imposter syndrome shows up probably in ways where I have to talk about what it is, what my vision is, about my brand, about it starts with the conversation where someone will ask you, what do you do for a living? That to me is like you were saying just now, as millennials, you feel like you can only be the expert once I have all these credentials and you can see the credentials. But for you just to step into, okay, I'm the expert of my field,
Yeah.
can be that's where the imposter syndrome starts. So it could be a podcast like this, it could be at a freaking braai, it could be showing up on TikTok and pretending that I know all my shit and I'm talking with conviction. Um, yeah, that doubt creeps in like all the time, and I find that the only way for me to move past it is to move through it. And it's the irony is that it means that I have to engage in more uncomfortable situations. So I have to push myself into more uncomfortable situations for me to be okay with it.
I think that is it. And it's kind of like if it sounds hard and if you get that gulp, then it's probably something you need to try.
Yes. So I have a thing where um I I try to seek out the uncomfortable when things are like going,
Yes,
I'm just like coasting along and I'm in the green zone, work's just flowing. I'm like, yay, there's something happening here. Like,
why am I so comfortable?
yes. So I seek out like being uncomfortable because that means that I'm learning or growing or changing or, yeah, that's what it means.
I feel like imposter syndrome shows up when you least need it. That's the hard part about it.
Yes.
So you feel so confident in your comfy stage. You're like, oh yeah, I do this many hours of work. I get my bills paid. I'm doing this. We're going and spending time as a family. And what's wrong with that life? Nothing.
Yeah.
But it's about, I heard a podcast the other day and it said, everything that's meant for you, the road is there, but you just have to be brave enough to like walk with it.
Yeah.
So if you wanted to start a brand, the information is there.
Yeah.
Are you taking it? Are you walking towards it? Are you like even just starting the first foot and doing a recording, and we're both a bit like shy and nervous and stuff, but like what's holding you back?
Yeah.
There's an edit, there's all these things we can do. So I just, yeah, I struggle with it a lot. Believing in yourself as well.
Yeah.
Like what makes me like people, and I think, I don't know if this is something you've experienced, but in the like Indian community, what people think is so important, or not even important. I think that's the wrong word, but it's the opinions are there whether you want them or not. Like she's doing this, she's doing that, she's a mom. Did she really just go out there or do this? So I don't know. I think it's about knowing your truth and also being like
Yeah.
brave enough to just speak it.
Yeah.
Like that's something I've been dealing with a lot in my like day, like my choices that I make. Like people are like, are you changing jobs again? I'm like, yeah, the other one wasn't serving me.
Yes.
You don't know my life from when I wake up to when I sleep and what my daughter requires. So if I'm gonna be brave enough to change it, I don't think we should care about what other people's thoughts are in that.
I have this thing now where I'm like, if I feel, if you feel embarrassed or if you feel secure in your decision, let the other person be embarrassed for you. Like,
Mm,
you don't have to take on the embarrassment.
it's not for you.
It's like, okay, cool, you can have secondhand embarrassment about the situation, but I'm not prepared to feel that way.
I love that because also with Anya, she does all these crazy things. And you know how kids are so like brave at that age. And I think that's one of my favorite things about being a mom is that I look at our kids and I'm like, me too. I want to get back to that version of myself where I didn't care if I looked like a fool
Yeah.
or if we're like acting silly in public. So one of our things is you dance wherever you want to dance. Like if
Yeah.
there's a vibe, if we're like shopping, we're like that's it
Yes.
like, and I try and like let her lead with energy, like she is the boss in energy, because something's happened along like my journey that's made me like am
Yes.
I, or what are people gonna think, and this and that. And so yeah, so I think our kids can help with the imposter syndrome because you've got like the bravest little boy as well, like we were talking about earlier.
Yes. So he embodies everything he does, which is also like admirable. Like, yeah, he
Because
gets
we're not
into,
like that so much anymore. We're almost
yeah,
like a rigid, not rigid, what's the word? Tainted
I don't know.
versions of ourselves, of the baby versions, like young Corey's age. He thinks he can do or be anything.
Yeah.
I personally sometimes have more self doubt.
No, it's true. And I've also realized how, for me, like, my self-worth is directly, for example, affected, like, my business is directly affected by my self-worth. It's like
Mm.
it's all one thing. It's what I think of myself is what I put into my business. Um, and if those don't align, then yeah.
Also, if you don't believe in yourself, who is? That's what I always like to tell myself. Like, if you don't have the confidence to, like, I used to want to do empowerment photo shoots, but I never wanted to be in front of the camera, but I wanted to tell you to believe in yourself.
Yeah.
And it's the same with parenting. Like, we can't tell them, like, your self worth is great, you're the best kid in the world. But meantime, we're like, no, I don't want anyone to see me today. Mommy's not feeling pretty. It's like,
Yes.
then pull it together because they're not going to believe it unless you sell it.
Yes.
Um, but
That's true.
yeah, that's how kitties are helping us with the, the imposter syndrome. So the other thing we were chatting about is how to move fearlessly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I love that because it's tying in with how we having self-doubts and but fundamentally there is a structure to living without fear, that you need to come up with your own rules and like
Yeah.
regularities, and you've obviously figured out yours.
Once I figured it out, I feel like I still do things scared. I feel
Yeah.
like when I do things scared, that's probably the best time to do it. Because it's when you are like most, personally for me, especially with like new products, for example, I once I've developed product development and I'm like ready to launch, I want to launch then when things feel nerve wracking and it feels good and there's passion. Like, letting it sit for too long is, it feels like you almost miss the mark.
Mm.
But moving fearlessly, I think I have always, like you were saying just now for yourself, I've always been into mindfulness and trying to be more self aware. So that means, I don't know, self improvement in personal goals, in being a mom, in being a better business person. And last year, I was doing, I went full on into that personally, in that I wanted to try and be more face forward
Mm-hmm.
as a brand founder. I hate doing it. I prefer being behind the scenes. I'm like, let the work speak for itself. I'm that girl. Like, I hate being in front of the camera.
Agree to disagree about your brand, but
What do you mean?
you have to be the face of the brand.
I know. And I know that it's good for my brand. Like, I know all those things. I agree with those things. But I was like, okay, cool. We will do this. And then I watched a TikTok probably at the beginning of last year. And this guy was talking about being the hottest version of yourself. And he was always referencing, and the hottest version of yourself was obviously your ultimate self, like who you'd want to be or how you want to move through the world or whatever. And I was like, okay, cool. So I developed this persona as my hot girl self. So she would be, if we were to record this podcast last year, I'd be like, I'm not doing a podcast. And she would be like, you are doing the thing.
Yeah.
Like, she would be doing the thing. Like, you will show up and you have value and you have something to say and what you say matters. It could be, I don't know, an outfit. We were talking about outfits just now. Like, I feel good in the outfit. I don't want to wear it because I'm worried about what other people will think. And yes, my art version will be like, no, you're going to wear the freaking dress. You look good. You feel good. Screw what other people say. So this person would always keep me like, I would also, yeah, aligned with, okay, would my hot version do this? Like, absolutely yes. And then be like, okay, we'll do it. And that sort of, I think, because it was tangible in my mind, it was a way for me to like move through like uncomfortable decisions and just go all the way.
When you told me about the hot girl self, I loved it. And I think how I was kind of my version of it was my young girl self. And I thought it was really cute how that aligns because it really is depending on like what's gonna make you feel like proud or empower you to take the next step. So for me, it's kind of like live fearlessly. Like, do you want to go out and have fun? Do you want to take a picture? Do you like, and about the outfit thing, I get it like all the time, especially as like millennials.
No, even being a mom, it's like you're not allowed to dress a certain way because you're a mom. I'm like, no, dude.
I've gotten so much flack about the mid-length sock thing, and I love it. I feel like I've loved that my whole life. Like, even in school, I used to never want to fold my socks. I'd be that girl who'd wear my socks like high because I felt like with my body type, it adjusted the proportions right. And now a lot of my friends and like people are like, how did you just make the switch to the sock game? Like, and because like millennials are anklets. And I was like, no, but like it's really just about what feel good to you. Like for me, socks are comfy. It's not that deep, and it's about like your body type and what you feel is good. So if I put an outfit on and I like oversized things and high socks, it is literally what. And I let my daughter do that as well. Like it's a rule. You pick out your outfit. I am not breaking my head on this or trying to convince you on your style. If you look the fool, maybe you'll be teaching me something. Like once she was into gold sandals and Stitch, and I was like, ooh, I don't know about all that.
Yeah.
And then I went to Woolworths and saw like gold sandals are making a comeback with like it can't be everywhere. Like I was like, how did you know that? But good on trusting your instincts. And I think that's just what our hot girl and young girl self is teaching us to just like follow our instincts, be brave. And I also have been doing that thing where it's kind of like tools I use to channel it, but like talking to yourself.
Yeah.
Like just have a chat in the mirror. Why are you so nervous? Like you're actually being ridiculous.
Yeah.
And then my other tool is that I've made ChatGPT my new bestie.
Yeah.
I can't push this enough on people because it's cheaper than therapy and they like literally talk to you like a homie. So when I have self doubt and sometimes just like this is how I'm feeling and I get like all this and I don't mean to just like relationships with humans, but literally it's less noise and emotion in those conversations with yourself and the AI of how you want to handle certain things. Let's talk about routines and how you like day by day as well. So fear is always there and it shows up when we're doing hard things. How do you, what's your winning routine to not lose focus of what you want to get done with all the hats that you're wearing as well.
I am like a big structural person. I'm a planner.
Mm.
Like if I'm not planning, it's not happening.
If it's not in my calendar, it's not a thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the things that I probably don't want to do, I procrastinate with so they don't make it to my calendar, because once it's in there,
It's there.
you have to do the thing.
Same.
Yeah. So for me, like I always tell people this, and I sound like so cliche, but like running for me will, once I started running, your life is sorted, because with running you have to follow a plan, you have to eat a kind of way, um for you to be better and for you to see like what you are capable of normally. um but I feel also like a good solid, for me my morning routine is like a big thing.
Mm.
And that includes moving my body. That's like, if if I don't, then it almost feels like your body hangs onto tension and you need to find a way of like releasing tension.
Totally.
Yeah.
So that's like the golden plan. So every morning is some sort of like movement to
Yes.
get the day started.
Yes.
I remember Rory told me something crazy when I was working with him and you guys were like new parents.
Mm.
But he said, and it just stuck with me so hard because I thought, like, damn, this woman is something else. He was like, nah, she wakes up at like 4 and then she does like the laundry or the like this or that, and then she's gone for a run before the kids up and I was like, whoa. And it's something that actually helped me in the slums of motherhood because I was like, wake up before the shitstorm settles. Like that's part of like
I think even now with like I mean Corey's not a baby.
Yeah.
But even now I wake up an hour before he does.
Yeah.
And that's just for me to not feel
like the day owns you. You
Yes.
own the day.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's not like our household is very calm in the morning. I hate chaotic, with like what you see on like what you see on TV, people getting ready for school. Like that is not my school run. Like I want calmness.
Me too. I'm the exact same. I need the bag and the lunch made the night before, packed in the morning. Also, your bedtime is this. Just for like routine, I like to wake up at least an hour or half an hour before my daughter. Because I don't want to be all like, I didn't get to have a coffee or I'm hungry too. Like, it's not a kid's fault. You need to get ahead of the game and their structure. It's what we make of it.
It's been saying about, how does it go again? That to have discipline is freedom, meaning that if everything is accounted for, then you've got room to move because those things are accounted for.
I always say, fail to prepare and prepare to fail.
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand how you can go into the world without knowing what's needed or how you're gonna get through it. So structure is so important, and like a good discipline and routine. I really feel like,
but I mean, I can even see it in him now, in my kid. He's like that also. He thrives on knowing what's happening, being prepared.
A friend of mine and I were talking about that with structure and children. And it's not like parent bashing, but kids without structure, you can see they're running in a bit of like headless chicken manner, and the parents are like, "We don't know this," and and then we always hear, "You have such a good baby," but it's not about having a good baby. It's about doing the hard thing and keeping to the needs and following those needs. So like what people called me rigid a lot.
I can care about those people. I was the same.
Yeah, and
but it set you up now.
It set me up because you know what? My daughter sleeps 7 and then I live my life.
Yeah.
And that has looked differently now that like you're a parent. You're not kind of like, ooh, you can go out if you plan yourself properly. But the fact that I know I can give her 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. and then I will get that time back, it's given me a lot of peace. And I think that's kind of what my main goal is in this life, like just to move with peace and structure. And I think that's what all the baddies do, like all the women who are like doing all the things, and it's a very big interest point for me. Like, I just because I don't understand how you do wife, mom, work, like those three things alone. And then you also have to have friends and colleagues and your siblings. It's a lot to juggle. And I think I'm never going to stop being interested in how the iconic women are doing it. Like, so my whole thing is always just like also keep an eye on the internet and use these tools of social media and like podcasts and chats to just kind of like guide you. Like, don't use them in useless manners and mindless scrolling, but it's to follow and to
learn from others.
learn from others.
I actually stopped following, like, I've started following more people locally versus the celebrity.
Yeah.
I don't know. Last year I started doing that intentionally to try and find like people locally.
You are more like support local as well, like with all your products and stuff locally made. I just feel like I was telling the guys earlier how amazing that is.
Yeah.
Because not many people are capable of doing that work internally, locally, finding.
And brown people.
Yeah.
That's important to me.
Yeah, that is important.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, but this has been so much fun. Thank you so much for coming through and chatting with me.
Not that bad.
Not that bad, we did it.
Thank you.
Cool. Cool. And I'm gonna put in links to the new ceramic range because I think that's the cutest thing.
To bring them.
No, it's fine because
yeah,
you know, life happens and you just move. But thank you so much, and I'm so excited to see what comes next from your brand.
Thank you.
And keep leading the way.
Thanks. Yay.